Morning, Isaac. How are you, brother? What do we got going on this morning? I personally love the little bit of morning weakness. Morning. Hope you guys are well. Good morning. Good morning. I did. Yeah, I dropped my car off early in the morning and they replaced the entire back windshield. And it's crazy because I only kind of cracked like one side, but and it's not like the window blew out or anything. It like spider webbed, but yeah, it's fixed. Little bit of morning weakness. Nothing wrong with it. You're only in TDUP. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's holding in there really nicely. It's nice because, names like TDUP, now, while they're a little thin and it's made a hell of a move, they're not going to really be correlated with the market too much, which is nice. Good morning. A lot of these hammer bars yesterday. And I just think the market needs some sideways, man, especially in the NASDAQ. The longer we chop around, the better. I know nobody wants to hear that we could chop around for 4 or 5 weeks and it would be healthy, but it truly would be healthy. It's never a bad time to study, Milo. I wouldn't be taking TDUP personally. You maybe could, but hold on. Let me see something first. Nah, dude, it's too extended. It only moves 4.65% per day, and it is 5.61, almost 6 times its average true range extended from the 50. Not really worth it, to be honest with you. Not saying it can't go to work, but it's just a little extended, and it's a little extended. It's already made a hell of a move. I don't know that it's worth chasing an extended stock in this market. You're in from 950. It's not even like you bought it all that great, to be completely honest with you. You bought it. I don't know where the hell you bought it. The high volume close, kind of, I'm assuming, almost. Just let it work. I personally wouldn't add to it. You're in Pan W had good earnings and showed relative strength. It did. Pan W looked like it was rejecting the 200 to me once, and then yesterday. Did you buy it on earnings? Because if you bought it on earnings, all it did was go down that day. Yeah, no real. I mean, first of all, this isn't some big reaction. It's back to flat, so it's going nowhere. It's not an extended chart. It's built a base here against the 50-day again. But I'm personally not buying any names on earnings day one. And the reason I say that is because they just have not been working. Right? Like, let a name gap up, show strength, and then you can come forward on a continuation setup. If you're buying, well, here's a good example. What about SE? Well, SE gap up. Yesterday it held the high volume close. It's building a continuation setup. So that's kind of the important to note. No, man, I had a $184 average on my short and I got stopped out the very next day. I'm not shorting her. Not here at least. So I don't have a good read on it at the moment, which is the important part. You know, I thought it was a good short in the 180s and I got stopped out, which kind of sucks because like I would have been on a huge winner. So yeah, that kind of sucks, right? It's like you lose a good chunk of money, not a good chunk of money, but you know, you take a loss and then you miss out on a home run. Another earnings death in LACE, LASE. Well, this name's already a turd to begin with, so went long with NU on the rebreak of the high volume close. Yeah, it's hanging in there. Yeah, continuation setups seem to be the better move in my opinion. They are the better move. Not quite. If it were tennis ball action for Roblox, it would have cleared the 10 and 20 day. So it hasn't even closed the gap. So let's not call this tennis ball action at all, just because it's slightly holding the 50 day, right? In fact, this is a move down sideways, a move down, and more sideways. So, you know, before you go crazy, jump into conclusions that it's, you know, what was tennis ball action? This, right? Where it gaps down and immediately gaps right back up and starts to push higher. That's tennis ball action. Roblox, this is a move down sideways, a move down sideways. Yeah, on some setups, you know, they earn the right for me to trail the 50. Something like ARC, right? Where I've been in this thing for, you know, over 2 months, and you make this really nice, long, steady trend above the 10 and the 20, and you push away far enough from my average that a little move down like this doesn't really freak me out. And then, you know, now I'm able to even hold through a move like yesterday. So, you know, if we start to live under the 50, effectively under yesterday's lows, I will be out. That's my hard stop. So. Yeah, Ali, I did it in the room. I don't know if I posted it to YouTube, but it's definitely in the Discord. Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? Shakeouts suck, but that's just part of trading. What's the minimum ADR I suggest for growing a small account? I mean, avoid names that are like 3 and below, right? It's hard to make money when they're moving less than 3% per day. So 4.5, 5, 6, 7, those are all now we're moving. Right now we're cooking with some grease. Right? Almost like a Roblox on the way up, right? This is moving, almost 5% per day. China stocks holding pretty well. Yeah, Futu being the leader. Futu being the leader. Baba with earnings coming up soon, and Pinduoduo. These are probably the ones I'm most focused on. Not Futu, just PDD and Baba. You bought VWAV 2 days ago. I mean, I personally don't really trade stocks like this. This is just a liquidity trap setup. Stocks that go from like 3 to 13, that's typically not organic. It's like indicative of, I have no idea, of just super small, low float stuff that I kind of avoid. This is too fresh of a name for me to feel comfortable about a stock moving like this. Yes, it's gone sideways. If you own it, I personally look for 3 to 5 day pushes and then trim a piece off into strength and, trail an ascending moving average, because it doesn't really have much data on the daily. You take it down to the hourly and trail something like the 50, where exactly it bounced yesterday, right? It bounced on the 50 EMA on the 60 minute, right? If you can get a trim off into tens and then just trail this, 50 day on the 60 minute, then it's not bad. Yeah, well, DraftKings stood out for one simple reason. One, the market went down kind of hard on Tuesday, and this thing held in there really well. Yes, a morning shakeout, but closed fairly well. And then yesterday, when the market was dumping, and you just kind of looked around the market and you go, everything was dumping. DraftKings did not budge that first hour. Like, look at the first 60-minute bar. It does not look like anything else. In other words, it just stood firm. Now, do I really want to buy relative strength in a potentially weak market, or do I just want to track relative strength in a potentially weak market? You already know the answer. I don't really want to buy stocks in a weak market, but I am taking note of the things that are holding up best when the market's going down. That's how you find leaders. I don't care what anybody else tells you. That's how you find leaders. They hold up best when the market's going down. And the reason they hold up best is because institutions are buying them or they're not selling them. And they do that for only one reason, right? And normally when they don't buy something, or they don't sell it, should I say, when the market's going down, is because they also have the belief that it's going higher. And that's who you want to align yourself with. You want to align yourself with institutions. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. No, BMNR is not interesting to me. I personally do not like this super massive high volume day on 8/11 into a gap fill, which filled the gap and then rejected, and then it's not really interesting to me. Not to mention, I really don't even like Ethereum here based on positioning. It's crowded, just like the NASDAQ, which I really also don't like the NASDAQ. I'm sure any of you guys who have been following along have been hearing me kind of beat on the same drum for a little bit, right? I would rather be short the NASDAQ, long the Russell, and that's my opinion. Why not Futu? A little extended. I liked Futu at $127. I liked Futu right down here. You had a couple days. You had just out of this little bull flag, very subtle. And you had the next day, obviously, over 127, which was the big flat base. Right up here, it could keep working, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me at the moment. Not VNet. Just for me personally, too thin. Too thin. And you could tell that it's too thin just based on this action. Like, look at all the wicks on the downside, the upside, the downside, the upside, the downside. Now, the nice part is it's holding the 50. It's building higher lows. We did report earnings today. It's effectively going nowhere. So now that's not a bad thing, but it's just too thin, right? It only trades 35 million bucks. Like, I personally can't do anything with that, right? If I were to get in and get out, I would be moving the stock far too much in one day. Like, I would physically be moving it, and I don't ever want to move my stock. Do I ever use intraday scanners? Yeah. I like to use a high-low scanner. I like to use up on relative volume scan. I like to use a gap scan. Yeah, you're short Joby from 17. Do I like it? I don't just like it. I effing love it. I wanted to short this thing myself, but I was just too early, man. I was just too early. How about Wolf? Too extended here. No setup. Right? You get this massive base breakout. There's just no setup here right now. You are wildly extended from the 50. No thanks. You're like 7 times its average true range from the 50. Just can't do it. Yeah, AGI. What's the only problem you see with AGI? Gold's not really doing anything at the moment. But I do agree with you, big base. Big base. My favorite personally is AEM. Right? This one hasn't stayed in its big base. It's actually been continuing higher. Right? It had a big base, broke out, retested, pushed out, bull flagged into the 20, tried to push out. I mean, so it's at the very least, making moves in the right direction. How do you manage a HVC trade? The same way I manage all my others, brother. A 3 to 5 day push into strength. I trim some off, and then I trail the rest. That's it. YSG. Nah, too thin. Too thin. You guys have to get away from such thin names. It only takes one person who's accumulated this stock to come in and sell it and just absolutely crush the stock, right? There's no reason for you guys to ever be trading stocks that are trading $3, $4, $5 million a day. Guys, institutions aren't playing in this pool. Hence the reason I don't even consider these names. You want to align yourself with what institutions are doing. This shit here that's trading $4 million a day, I call it shit for a reason, because no institution's going to be playing in that pool. The pool's just too small, right? It's not even a pool. It's a puddle, a baby puddle at that. Like it's a nothing, right? $4 million, guys. I've taken positions 3 times as large as this before. And then if I had to sell it, I'd be basically trading, 6x the volume of this name on a day. Guys, it's crap. You don't want one person to be able to move your stock. That's how it looks great one day and then it's getting destroyed the next. Is that really what you want? The answer is you already know the answer. Like, I understand you might be like, well, Ariel, I'm only trading with $20,000 or $50,000. It doesn't matter. Focus on what institutions are focused on. That's how you give yourself the least amount of headache in an already somewhat stressful and headache-filled job sometimes, right? Especially if you're new, right? People be like, oh man, trading so hard. Yeah, because you probably are focused on stuff like YSG. XLU, the ETF for utilities. In my opinion, this whole sector needs a little bit bigger of a breather. I don't know if CCJ's in this sector, but you started to get CCJ breaking below the 50. Obviously, GE Vernova is in there. I believe GE is probably also in there. Quinta Power, PWR, or Quanta Power, they're in there too. Utilities, I don't hate it. I don't love it. My only issue with utilities is that everybody is on the same thesis, which is, the next best trade behind the AI trade is what is going to power the AI trades. Or the AI data centers. I'm pretty sure every human on planet Earth is aware of that thesis. And a lot of these names, like a GEV, need bigger bases. Yeah, app, for instance, looks like every other chart yesterday. So for me, it's just kind of a leave alone. I spot relative strength when things are going down, but when the market's going down and then everything's going down, that's what you would expect, right? And then when the market starts to bounce and then everything bounces, that's what you would expect. What catches your eye is when something happens that you don't expect, right? Like DraftKings, for instance, where the market's dumping, everything around you's dumping, and DraftKings didn't budge for the first 60 minutes. And then you're like, okay. And then, for instance, when the market's V-shaped recovering and an Apple doesn't bounce with it, right? This also should catch your eye, where you're like, how come this doesn't look like the rest on the daily? How come this doesn't have a little tail bar? How come it doesn't have a hammer candle, right? That should also catch your eye. Where you were to say, if the market begins to roll over, I would expect, like I said in last night's watch list video or in the daily recap, this is one of those that you potentially watch that could go lower, right? So when everything looks the damn same with a hammer candle, the edge is gone. At that point, you might as well be trading the NASDAQ, right? Because if the NASDAQ's moving everything, then why are you going to latch yourself onto one individual name? I don't know that the ES has to move too much lower, but I do believe that the NQ's either got to go lower or sideways. I've mentioned this quite a bit yesterday, right? I did not think yesterday's bounce was shorts covering, because there really are no shorts in the NASDAQ. Everybody is piled in long, to their fucking eyebrows. There's more people that still have to get out. And then you get a bounce like yesterday. And it's just like, well, if everybody's just buying the dip, eventually that shit's going to stop working and they're going to be bagged. I don't know. I don't know. I've got a long in ARC. I've got a long in CCL. I've got a short in Roblox. I've got a short in QUBT. I'm trying to get myself positioned into more stuff. I just don't see exactly what it is at the moment. And I don't like forcing myself in. Yeah, AEM's a little too slow, but not for me. Maybe for majority of people it is, but when you've got a bunch of, cash in the portfolio, I'd rather, have you ever heard the phrase slow money better than no money? Well, if you haven't, it's a phrase. I'd rather be making slow money instead of no money. So if the slowest names in the world, if the Walmarts, if the Costcos, if those are set up, I can take them. But if you're a smaller account, it's not really going to move the needle on your portfolio. It's not really going to move it percentage wise either for me, but it'll equal real dollars, right, in the real world for me. So to me, that's important. How do I trail the 10 and the 20? If price is closing above the 10 and the 20, you stay in. Ta-da. Not literally, just that simple. As long as it closes above the 10 and the 20, you just let it work. Any daily exercises you can do to read market themes? You're not getting any more positions till the market stops chopping around. Tired of getting stopped out? Well, if you're getting stopped out and you're trying to get re-engaged, take smaller positions until the market stops chopping around, right? And you're actually getting follow through. What I recommend you do is a simple exercise is, if you have Deep View, go on Deep View and look at look through your ETFs list. So you can also do it on FinViz, which is something that's really great. Go on FinViz, kind of look at, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. So if you go on finviz.com, let me pull this off to the side, and you're going to click on groups. So right at the top bar, you're going to see groups. Then where it says group and then sector, go down to industry and then scroll down and then start to look at 1 month performance, right? Start to look at 3 month performance, start to look at half year performance, and then start to go through those top groups and see if there's a commonality there and a technical setup that you understand. it's not, I mean, minimum volume should be for your portfolio, but I mean, 50 million, 20 million. I mean, guys, 20 million bucks is not, I mean, 50 million, honestly. 50 million bucks. That's nothing. Right? For instance, Hood's trading $4.5 billion a day. Right? Google, almost $7 billion a day. Reddit, almost $2 billion a day. I'm over here saying 50 million. Right? So you've got a lot of leeway to work with there. A ton. Right? I don't get down to 50 million until, you've got a bunch of names you can trade on this list, right? Like, let's just kind of go down to my 90-day relative strength scan and go down to like 50 million. So this is like, all right, let's go to like, this is 49. So here's 50 million. HSAI, right? Like HSAI is like the cutoff, right? VOYA, PSN, GVA, MLI, LNC, GXO, right? And then I start to say, okay, like how fast do these move and what group are they in? Right? And I just literally scroll through these and my eye will quickly catch if they look good. Like this AGCO, like agriculture company. Okay, I'd want to know how other ag names are looking. AMSC needs a little bit more time. Logi, I like Logitech. I don't really use any of them on my computer, but IRTC, this one's interesting, just a touch slow. And then some of these are just a little slow. And so I'm kind of trying to look for mentally what looks good technically, and then I'll kind of pop that over it. And I'm already starting at like my minimum dollar volume. Like even COMM, this thing has made a huge move already, right? Trades plenty of volume now. Innodata, LQDA, right? A bunch of names that are at least above their key moving averages. VSAT, PRIM. And I just go through these names manually, right? Look, Hut makes the list. Hut trades almost $100 million a day, right? And that's it. That's like literally the process, right? You want to get away from illiquid crap. You want to be focused on the stocks which have been showing most relative strength. And then do you have a technical setup that you understand? Okay, cool. And then, what group are they in? Okay, wow, they're in a nice group. And let's take it one step further. Do they have accelerating earnings and sales? What do I think of Uber? Yeah, nice relative strength past few days. Yeah, not bad. But, do you want to track relative strength here or do you want to trade it? Market's kind of choppy. I just want to track it. So there's a time to trade. There's a time to track. That's the tweet. I'm tweeting that. That's a good tweet. Love that. That's good. That's a good thought right there. I'm not thinking about the Dow Jones, dude. That's 30 stocks. The only person that cares about the Dow Jones is your grandmother. Nobody care about the Dow Jones. 30 names, and it's price weighted. So, like, whatever Goldman Sachs and the four most other expensive stocks in the world are doing, are how Goldman Sachs moves. Goldman Sachs is how the Dow Jones moves. HSAI super choppy, super effing choppy. But yeah, I don't think about the Dow Jones at all. Price weighted index too, like, I already know how they can game the Dow Jones. You just take up the most expensive names and then you could dump all the cheapest stocks in the Dow, and the Dow would still have an up day because it's price weighted. Yeah, there you go. There's a time to surf and a time to wax your board. My entries for swing trades come on a 5-minute chart. 5-minute. But I am always thinking about the daily. I'm almost exclusively thinking about the daily. I really do not care about any other time frame when I'm trading, right? Like, what's the daily look like? What are the areas of confluence? What's the market doing? You know, that's it. And then my entries, to get a little bit more granular, I take it down to a 5-minute chart, right? But I don't ever worry about, like, there are times, you know, with like students in the room, I'll be buying something like, you know, 4, 5, 6, 5-minute green candles in a row. And they'll be like, wait, what? Yes, because it's breaking prior day high and it's breaking the range and my stop is low of day and I'm sized properly. I don't give a shit that it's five green minute candles in a row. Like, that's irrelevant to the bigger picture, which could have 5 green daily bars in a row, right? It's like size right and set your stop at low of day. TDUP, a little extended. Talked about that one early on. TPC, I mean, we just talked about dollar volume. It's a little too thin. Also, this thing has made an insane effing move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, almost 8 quarters of a move, you know, from 7 to almost, I mean, it's up almost 1,000% in, you know, a year. It's kind of nutty. Longer base. The real thing you have to ask yourself is, what has this thing done after earnings? It's acting like a million other stuff in the market after earnings. No temptation to day trade stuff, not unless there's an insane opportunity. But, you know, it just doesn't move the needle, man. Like, oh my God, there's an amazing opportunity. I just made 50 grand. That sounds nice, except it just doesn't move the needle. Again, we're not all the same too. You have to understand your personality. I used to day trade, but it just doesn't move the needle anymore. So I just don't do it. Right? I don't want to have to come up or wait around for a bright idea every single day of my life. I'd rather sit here, track relative strength, figure out where money's going, where money's leaving, and that's it. STX, same deal, right? To me, this needs a bigger base. Could it go? Yes, it could go. But like, look at this move here, man. Look at this move. This is like 11:30 on the clock, right? This is just absolutely vertical. And no other time in this stock's, you know, long history, going back a little while, has this done this. Let's go back like 5 years on this thing, right? Very rarely, like even here, right? You start to like go on this really long trend, then eventually it just goes for a long pause, right? Like no other time in this stock's history has it ever actually just gone vertical like this. Could it go some more? Yeah, maybe. But I just don't see the setup here where I go, like just think about the percent move off the lows, right? Where you go, okay, this is up 146%, 150%. I'd like to catch a move like that, right? Do you really think this is going to give you another 150% move from here? Like in just, you know, like literally from here? You really think this is going to $380 in 4 months? If you do, I got a sick beach house for you in Idaho I'd love to sell. Yep, that's a great point. Someone highly respected just said, feels like a day to see how leaders react. If continued weakness in stocks like Hood, it's going to mean that the long side is dead money for a while. Relative strength doesn't matter at the beginning of a longer correction. That is right. Yet there's a time to trade relative strength and there's a time to track it, right? It feels like it's just a time to track it. Bar chart has a nice free version of COT data. Just go to bar chart. And then what really it is with COT data is you're looking at futures positioning, right? Open contracts in the futures market. That's all it really is. And a lot of people own the NASDAQ currently. And the people who own it are small and large speculators. In other words, the people who lose most often in the market are super long the NASDAQ, right? Do you want to align yourself with the people who lose the most? Right? It's like a concept I learned from Jason Shapiro, right? That's not to say the market can't go higher for a little bit, but that's to say that you're aligning yourself with the people who lose most often, which is fine. But if you align yourself with the people who lose most often, what do you think that also makes you? So, yeah, we'll see. We will see what COT data ends up looking like this weekend. And if, some people kind of came off of that positioning yesterday. But the last thing I really want to do, and forget about COT data, right, for a second. What is just think about the leaders for a moment, okay? What has Hood been doing? What's Palantir been doing? What's GEV been doing? What's AVGO been doing? What's AMD been doing? How's Coin been acting recently? How about MSTR? How about the nice high flyers in AEVA? How about TSSI? What's Joby been doing? Right? What's QS been doing? Right? What's Meta been doing? How about Microsoft? Anybody seen Roblox? What about Netflix or Spotify? Or, right? I'm not saying these names are dead, but for the most part, the stocks that have led and made the biggest moves, they've just been acting like shit. Right? And that's the important part. What has leadership been doing? Right? And if the answer is nothing, then you have your answer. You should also be doing nothing. And Scotland said it best. This is a day to just track if there's continued weakness, and then that will give you a better answer of what to do, right? And again, there are days to trade stocks that had been showing relative strength. Even just like I noted DraftKings yesterday, but today isn't really the day to buy it, right? I want volatility to subside a little bit. I want to find a nice little tight pivot, maybe a pullback to an ascending moving average. When the market, then starts to press higher, you get a small little pullback into an ascending moving average, and now I'm aligning my buy in a market that's going higher. So my stock has the best chance to work. So that's just kind of my thinking here. On Halo, is this a Biotech? Yeah, this is extended. I mean, cool, fantastic relative strength. Nice job getting that entire gap down back. Nice job making 52-week highs. But where do you buy this, Hugh? Right? Where's the tightness? One, it's extended from the 50, 8 times its average true range from the 50. So it's extended. It's up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row. You're going to come in and buy it on the 10th? I don't think so. I mean, unless you are and you hate your money. And it's gapping up this morning. Is that really the kind of trader you are, where you feel like you notice something strong? That's great. But then how do you get involved? It's let me give you a good metaphor. A train is in motion. We all see that the train is moving. Do you try to hop onto a moving train? No. You wait for the train to pull into the station. Then you walk onto the train. What does the train pulling into the station look like? Sideways consolidation. It just stops going higher and starts going sideways to allow you to safely hop on, so that if you slip, trip, and fall, you don't break your neck, right? If the stock kicks you off, you don't kill yourself. But if you go to buy HALO, a biotech at that, while it's up 9 days in a row, you're effectively trying to hop onto a moving train. I don't recommend that, especially not a biotech, unless you truly hate your money. Yeah, that's fine. And you know what? I would rather own the XBI, and really not even XBI. I don't really want to own the XBI. I'd rather own LabU. A little bit faster moving, same exact thing. If XBI is going higher, LabU is going higher. And I would only own it for a handful of days. Yeah, COT data is released by the CFTC. Yeah, that's fine. Here's the thing, Orca. I remember I traded Nvidia before the split at like $167, right? Yet the best setup that I saw was the 5-month base and the breakout at 500. Let that sink in for a second. And the thing was already up hundreds of percent. Didn't it triple again from there? It sure did. It sure did. Right? Stocks already up 100% is nothing, dude. Like 100% for true leaders is nothing. Right? And how do I find stocks early? By scanning, right? They've made a move up. They're above all key moving averages. Typically, they're coming out of downtrends, which means they were below their 200. They get back up above the 200, meaning they made a 50, 60, 80% move. They went sideways. A whole bundle of them were doing the exact same thing. Home builders, biotechs, semiconductors, solar stocks, electric vehicle companies, software application names. I don't give a shit what was doing it, but you see it happening. And then they go higher. They go up, they go sideways, they go up. They go up, they go sideways, they go up. Thanks, my love. I'll be right there. Tesla a little lower, Palantir a little lower, Nvidia a little lower this morning. My QBTS a little lower this morning. Let's go, buddy. Do I think TER has a good entry? Nope. No, the 200 is still kind of sloping down here. It does have a pretty interesting level, though, that you could keep an eye on going forward. 107.65. That's the high volume day on earnings. Kelvin, I'm literally on live stream all day if I'm at the desk, basically. Thoughts on NEM and Franco Nevada? These are both gold names. They look all right. You know, NEM is, you know, really dang strong. It's actually one of the leading performers in the S&P 500 this year. I kind of prefer something like AEM because it's a little bit tighter in like a bull flag kind of a way. But if one work, they all work. Franco Nevada. Yeah, here's another one. Yeah, if one work, they all work. And yes, Kelvin, I constantly am sharing my watch list. I'm on live stream all day. NEGG is crazy strong. Yeah, that's the 19 party like it's 1999. Yeah, MDGL. I believe it's another biotech too, MDGL. So it just kind of goes to show you. It just kind of goes to show you where money's going. It's going to some biotech names. Now, I don't want to pigeonhole myself and own one biotech company. I'd rather own the basket of biotech companies. So if something happens to MDGL, right? We still have HALO, maybe holding things up, or vice versa, right? If you're God only knows, I buy MDGL and this thing ends up dumping on some bad data, and then all of a sudden, another stock is or the other basket of stocks is holding up the XBI. So I would rather just own the whole basket, so I don't leave myself exposed to bad news from one name, right? I think that mentally that's more important for me. I like the theme. I see the theme strengthening, but I don't want to just own one name. Can I share the scripts for dollar average and ADR? Yeah. Do you have Thinkorswim? If you do, you can just at me in a post, and I'll post it for you, and other people can steal it too. Yeah. Exactly, Sean. Exactly. Why would I want to own one shitty biotech when I can own them all? Just give me the whole ETF. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do. I didn't take many trades in July. So I really didn't do like a long post of all my trades. But if you kind of look back over the last, if you look back at like May, June, I did like at the end of every month or at the beginning of every month, I did like a long post of like all the trades that I took, where I took them, effectively my finished trades for people to learn from. But I only took 16 trades last month. And this month I'm probably on pace for even less. So I haven't taken a ton of trades, so there hasn't been a ton to share. But I will make another post at the end of this month, kind of covering the last 2 months. Or I might even wait first through September and then just kind of cover the whole quarter, because there just hasn't been a ton for me to do. Cool, Reed. Thank you for being here, brother. Thoughts on MSOS? Yeah, it's flagging out above the 200. I mean, does wheat ever really stick around for too long? Southern Company, this is a train company, right? Because there's another one, NSC, which is Norfolk Southern, which is holding in there. You'll see the link on my X page, brother. Yeah, the biggest turds tend to make the biggest moves. They certainly do. But you know what Christian was really, really good at doing? Identifying the theme. The theme is really important. It goes back to exactly what I say all the time. Focus on groups. What has a nice technical setup and what is in the right group. And then what can make it even a better trade is if they've got good earnings and sales, right? I only have 4 positions right now. I had 8, but I stopped myself out of TNA, Oklo, Hood, and Tesla 2 days ago. Do I require the sector ETF to have a good setup before zooming into its stocks? No, it doesn't have to look amazing, right? But it helps. Like I would say the best looking ETF at the moment, one, its utilities is up there, but the XLP looks pretty interesting, right? Super big base that's been basing for a year, right? But it's got a bunch of names that we probably don't want to own. It's the Costco's and the Walmarts of the world. Not very thrilling names to get into. I should do a podcast with Christian. Yeah, I don't know that that's going to happen. Christian's busy on a yacht, guys. That's funny. Yeah, that'd be cool. I talk to people often who've talked to him. So that I feel like, I've kind of rubbed shoulders with him at some point, but that's about it for my claim to fame with Christian. Buy a bigger yacht and invite him on. Yeah. Give me 5 more years, dude. Those things are expensive. But anyway, guys, for me to get ready for stream. Sorry I didn't make it yesterday, but hopefully today was good. You guys asked a bunch of awesome questions, and I will see you guys all bright and early tomorrow morning. A lot, CJ. A shitload. Way more than I need to live or even be standing here right now. But I do it because I love it. But I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. Please trade them well today. Remember, there's a time to track relative strength and there's a time to trade it. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind when you're taking trades out here. So anyway, I will see you guys bright and early in the morning. Cheers.